we saw you in Labour Party.
Yes.
And then just when we getting to the crunch stage in the primaries, you disappeared. Can you just bring us to speed? What happened? How is somebody who joined the Labour Party almost 2 or 3 years ago or so?
About 2 years ago, yes.
Yeah, has been part of the building process of the party.
Yes.
In the run-up to the 2023 elections, probably with an eye on the governorship election that will come later this year. Both expression and nomination forms added hours to the contest, you threw in the towel. Explain all of that to us.
Thank you very much. It's a great question, and it's a question that I expected that you would ask. The fact is, I have to take you back a little bit and then bring you to that particular question that you've asked. From my background as a CEO, one of the things I was responsible for was marketing. In marketing, there's a concept called brand value and brand image. Usually, brand image is what people think you are, and brand value is what you really are. So going into the Labour Party and the time that I spent in the Labour Party, and you are right, I spent a lot of time and money building the Labour Party, contributing to the building of the Labour Party. And I went in because I was convinced that the value system in the party was consistent with my own personal value system. That is the brand image of the party, a party that is honest, wants to win elections, is looking to transform the state and the country, and so on and so forth. But it is very different when you are on the inside. And I began to have some struggles with myself about whether or not I saw consistency between what the party was trying to achieve and what I personally believed in. And I became worried just before the primaries whether or not I was still convinced that the party was serious about winning the Edo elections. And the fact is, if you read my resignation letter from the party, I became convinced that there was a misalignment between my personal value system, what I was trying to achieve, and what I saw within the party. And that's why I withdrew from the primaries. I withdrew from the primaries in the Labour Party, but I did not withdraw from primaries, and I have not withdrawn from competing for the gubernatorial seat in Edo State.
Okay, but as it stands today, you are no longer a member of the Labour Party.
That's correct. I resigned from the Labour Party on the 23rd of February.
What about the huge amounts that you paid to obtain nomination for an expression of interest form? Expression of interest form, 5 million naira.
Yes.
Nomination form, 25 million naira.
That's correct.
Together, that's 30 million naira. Huge.
Yes.
Have you been refunded?
And even bigger when you talk of the fact that it's something that I earned myself.
Not free money.
Not free money. No,
that's huge.
The fact is that my belief is that when you are committed to something, you do what it takes to get it done. The reason I'm in this race is because I believe that Edo people should not have the type of suffering that they are having. I believe that they should have a much better life than they do, and I believe that I'm in a position to solve that problem. So as a result, I'm in the race. I am fortunate. I've had a good life. I've had opportunities that have put me in a position to be able to afford that money, and I have paid the money. Whether or not the people I paid the money to deserve to get that money is a separate issue, and it's something I will revisit later. Right now, my focus is to win the gubernatorial race in Edo State. So I will not allow those types of things to distract me from that.
Always come back to that.
Yes, and my wife is asking me to explain how did you use our money. I hope it wasn't.
Was a supporter of that.
Yeah, I hope it wasn't the children's school fees.
But that's huge, 30 billion naira.
It is huge.
Is there a clause at all anywhere in the process leading up to that point that in case you want to pull out before voting starts, that this is what will happen and all of that? Were those things spelled out? Or it will be forfeited to the party? These are things we hope to go and test, maybe probably in court subsequently?
As I indicated, I'm committed to fighting to win this race for the sake of my people, the Edo people. And my focus was not whether or not I will withdraw. I wasn't expecting to withdraw. I withdrew based on the information that became available to me.
You cited undue influence of money.
Yes.
You cited attempts to manipulate the process by who now? Party leaders, party elders,
Look,
fellow contestants?
the reason I got into the race and I selected the Labour Party is because I believed that the Labour Party was, one, committed to winning an election in Edo State, and two, was going to look...
Particularly coming on the heels of what happened in the general election.
Absolutely.
2023.
Absolutely.
I think Labour Party won senatorial seats.
Yes.
Is it one or two?
Yes, one from Edo South.
Yes, and then won a couple of House of Reps seats as well.
Absolutely. So I was convinced that the Labour Party is committed to winning the election and committed to transforming the state. On the inside, especially a few days close to the primaries, I became convinced that the Labour Party in Edo State is committed to other things that I cited and not necessarily committed to presenting the best candidate. That was why I withdrew.
And there were about 34 of you in
Yes.
that race as at that time.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, under
Speaking of 34, what's actually quite interesting is that our strategy was very different from everybody else's strategy. We focused on understanding what it takes to win a nomination. We prepared before we declared. And I was actually the 34th aspirant that declared that I was running. And in a matter of 3.5 weeks, I went from 34th to arguably the first. And then we drew just before the primaries. So we didn't...
If you were that close
Yes.
to nicking it, why would you not, at least for that period, maybe bottle up your grievances, go through the process, pick the ticket, and then come back and fight those smaller battles?
I wouldn't say they were grievances. I would say there were fundamental differences that have to do with my personal value system and the value system that I saw within the party. Okay. I'm in the race to win the election and to transform the state. I'm not in the race just to get a nomination from the Labour Party. I will still get a nomination from somewhere else. I will still compete for the gubernatorial seat, and I'm convinced, my team and I are convinced that we will win the election in September and we will transform the Edo State for the betterment of the Edo people. To me, that's what's important.
I'll bring you back to that issue. That is your belief that you will still win the race, even now that people don't know the direction you are heading. Yes. I'm going to get you to...
They know I'm going to pop culture to prepare.
But pop culture is not a political party. It's just your own philosophy.
It's a platform that I created. It's a political platform that I created in 2017.
Not a political party.
It's not a political party.
So you are going to take that culture into a political party.
That's correct.
To pick a ticket.
That's correct. Remember that politics is about numbers and ideology.
That's correct.
The ideology is set. We know who we are and what we want to do. The reason we left the Labour Party was that we saw a misalignment between that and the Labour Party. We've gone to pop culture. We still have our platform. We believe that by the time we move pop culture into a political party and announce to the public what we are doing, we'll be the third largest party in Edo State.
Wow. All right. I will still come back to that too.
Yes.
I'm also putting that in view. I'm keeping it in view. But let me take you back a little to some of the observations you made. You said they are not grievances as well, but observations you made to your party, which made you believe that, oh, this thing is skewed somehow.
There were fundamental differences.
They were fundamental.
Yes.
Will the inability of the Labour Party, for instance, to categorically say and declare to the aspirants that Edo State is built on a tripod.
Yes.
North, Central, and South.
Yes.
North has had it, South has had it. Only Central probably has not had a fair share of it.
Yes.
And there was that clamor that all the political parties should look in the direction of Edo Central in picking the candidate. Will the inability of your party to categorically...
My former party.
Your former party, sorry.
Yes.
Your former party. The inability of your former party to categorically make that stand, Will it be one of such issues that you saw as a red flag?
I think that's a fundamental issue. However, I think whoever becomes governor in 2024 must push an Edo agenda. However, I have said this many times publicly. My personal view is that I don't believe in zoning, personally. The reason I don't believe in zoning is that zoning in of itself forces you to not necessarily present the best person across the state. However, as a former corporate executive, both domestically and globally, I believe in sanctity of contracts. A contract was reached by 3 senatorial districts in 1999. That contract was each one will have their turn. Since Edo Central has not had its turn, and everybody else has benefited from the contract, from a contractual perspective, I personally believe that it should go to Edo Central. However, once Edo Central has had its turn, or if Edo Central does not have the ability to produce a candidate that has capacity to win or govern, then you negotiate. But since that is not the case, I think that it's wrong for the Labour Party to have gone in the direction that it went to. But that is the least of the problems in the Labour Party as far as I'm concerned. There are legal issues within the Labour Party, there are ideological issues, there are other issues. And I will predict right here on this program that the Labour Party will not win the election in 2024.
What would that be the reason? The Labour Party in the last 2 years has already created a platform, has a large followership, although we also hear that there are rumors after the primaries. Yes. That a lot of people are dissatisfied that even the national chairman has become the most unpopular politician in Edo State and all of that. Are those the reasons why you think the Labour Party will not make a headway? It's a party that has large followers, particularly from the youth.
The Labour Party had a tremendous opportunity in Edo State. Unfortunately, as an analyst and as a political scientist, most people don't know this about me. They think of me primarily from the economic and business perspective because that's what they know. Yeah. But I studied political science. I'm a political science undergraduate person. I was #1 in my faculty in political science. Yeah. From a political standpoint, the party's inability to unify itself and to ideologically prepare for the election, the party is going to unravel and implode and will not win this election. The election ultimately is going to be between one of the two parties and a third force that will emerge, and that third force is not going to be the Labour Party.
With the inability of the Labour Party to, give vent to that quest for social justice and political justice by picking a candidate from Edo Central, would that be one of the factors that may likely be counterproductive?
That's a huge issue. But I think that
will it have political consequences?
Yes, definitely. I think that I look at that as an outcome of the issues that are manifesting itself within the party itself. The party is perceived from the outside as a party that is highly democratic, more democratic than any other party. However, inside the party is actually authoritarian and not democratic. So such a party, when you look at the variance between brand image and brand value, it never works. Even a company, when the gap between brand image and brand value becomes too wide, customers run away. And for a party, when the difference between brand image and brand value becomes too wide, leadership will break off, membership will break off. I predict that before the Edo elections, the Labour Party will become the 4th largest party in Edo State, not the 3rd largest.
The 4th?
The 4th largest party in Edo State.
Moving from #1 to #4.
No, in terms of membership.
In terms of
membership. Right now,
members will move away.
Yes, right now, in terms of membership, PDP is #1, APC is #2, Labour is #3.
I'm told that a report I read actually said Labour Party does not have up to 22,000 members in Edo
You've
State.
done your homework. Labour Party has about 21,000 something members in Edo State. And most of what people hear about is the Obi movement. And the Obi movement, the obedience are not the Labour Party. They actually pride themselves with being obedience that are actually, whose ideology
is to Obi presidency at any cost.
That's one of the things they believe in. But the fundamental thing they believe in democracy, and they believe in good governance, and they believe that government should be there to make the lives of people better. And I think that what they've discovered is that the current leadership of the Labour Party and the Labour Party within Edo State does not reflect that ideology. So as a result, they will shop around for people and platforms that reflect that ideology, and they will back those people in 2024.
I know that political parties have up until probably even April 23rd or so.
Did you study political science?
No. As a journalist that has focused on politics for going to 3 decades now,
yes,
I should be able to know some of these things. The political parties have technically up until April,
yes,
to produce their candidates.
Yes.
You have left the Labour Party.
Yes.
There are about 18 registered political parties.
That's correct, yes.
Attention is mainly on probably the four big ones that we know before now, yes. APC, PDP, Labour Party, NNPP, and all of. But there's still so many other ones in between until you get to 18.
Yes.
Are we likely to see you head in the direction of any of those other political parties within this period left?
It's a great question, but let me quickly do a little bit of background from a political perspective. From a political perspective, there are 7 political parties that can produce the next governor of Edo State.
Only 7? 7.
And if I take that 7, and I just said on this program that Labour Party is not one of them, that makes it 6. I'm in conversation with one of those 6.
We can take PDP and APC out as well.
I'm
not likely to go to I'm just trying to narrow it down to the ones that are left.
So let me get back to your previous question. Your previous question about timing, which is a great question, by the way.
That we still have time.
Yes, is based on the fact that, as you know, in politics, you need 3 key currency to be successful in politics. The first one is you need money. The second one is...
you have that?
We have that. I just walked away from 30 million.
Exactly. So if you don't have money, will you do that?
So we have the money in place.
Yeah.
The second thing you need is you need followers.
Followers?
We have followers in place, but we will exponentially grow the followers. That's why I'm on the platform of pop culture to do that. Okay? Then the third thing you need is that you need hope. And hope comes from whatever your program is for the people and what solutions you are proposing to the people so that they will support your candidacy. Those 3 things we're assembling in pop culture. Wherever I end up, we're building a coalition in pop culture. Wherever I end up, that will be the 3rd largest political party in Nigeria by the time.
So it will not be
by the time my name is published in INEC in April.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Let's get to know what you actually know about Edo politics. Because a lot of people will say, Tom Iseghohi, who is he in Edo politics? Yes. I mean, you can talk about so many big names, but I doubt if your name will be that big name in politics that once you mention, in politics, I said,
yes,
it will resonate. In business, it will definitely resonate,
yes,
but maybe not in politics.
I agree with you. I think politically speaking, a lot of people don't think of me as a politician. But if you go back and do the research, I come from a strong political family. My uncle on my mother's side is Chief Tony Aneni, may his soul rest in peace. Okay? On my own blood brother, Ame Iseghohi, may his soul also rest in peace, was Commissioner of Commerce and Industry under Ogbemudia. He was 27 years old. Then. My elder brother, Henry Iseghohi, ran for governor of Edo State in 2007. He was one of the people that stepped down for Oshomole when Oshomole became governor. So I come from a political family. You asked me earlier if I'm a prince. Yes, I'm a prince from the Uromi Empire. My cousin is sitting on the throne. So by birth, I'm a politician. And also I've been very involved in national politics and in global politics. I studied political science. Anybody who is a CEO is a politician.
That's correct.
So politics is something that flows in my brain and in my blood, and I know Edo State inside out. I grew up in Benin. My parents are from Edo Central, and I went to Auchi Poly before I went to the United States. So I've lived in
all the three districts.
I've lived in all of them. I know what the issues are, and I know what the fundamental advantages are of Edo State and how to leverage those things for the betterment of the people.
Okay, now we're getting to that stage.
Yes.
But let's start that stage by doing, first of all, a critical analysis of what we think is wrong with Edo State as it is.
Yes.
Does this say that if it's not broken,
Yes.
why fix it?
Yes.
Is Edo State broken? Politically, economically, socially?
Yes. Edo State.
And developmentally as well.
Yes.
Is it broken?
Edo State, to me, is missing some fundamental and foundational things that are required for development. The first thing is security. There is a fundamental lack of security and rule of law in Edo State. It's one of the first.
Security.
Yes, it's one of the first things I'm going to attack. The second thing that is broken is that transportation and logistics is completely broken. Then last but not least, there's no money. There's no money. So whatever ideas you have, you can't implement them if you don't have resources. So you can't bring in investors into a state that doesn't have security and rule of law. So those are the first two things I'm going to attack. Then you have to have a strategy for economic development and the improvement of the welfare of the people that leverages the comparative advantages of the state. Edo State is fantastically located. Edo State should be a logistics hub for the country. I'm going to immediately transform Edo State into a logistics hub. Logistics is a job spinner. Let's take Singapore, for example. Singapore has 5 million residents. Edo State has 5 million residents.
So it's the size of a country?
Yes, it's the size of a country. Singapore is has 750,000 square kilometers. We have of land. We have 75,000 square kilometers. We are 10 times the size of Singapore. And Singapore has nothing. They don't have solid minerals. They don't have gas. They don't have
no crude.
They don't have crude. They don't have all of these things. They don't have an annuity, money that just comes to them every month from somewhere. They don't have all these things. Edo State has all these things. Singapore has two things, location and smart people. Edo State has very smart people, and we have the best location. We are closer to Europe than Singapore. So, if you transform Edo State, something else, do you know, although they are 10% our size, they don't have what we have. The GDP per capita in Singapore is $74,000. Our GDP per capita is $2,000 in Edo State. So, once we transform Edo State to a logistics hub, why is that important? Because Nigeria is a trading economy. Because Nigeria is a trading economy, it means that about 70% of our GDP is logistics. So if you are a logistics hub, even if it's 30% of the GDP you capture through that logistics infrastructure and development that you do, Edo State will be tremendously wealthy. We can then focus on education and healthcare and those other things that the people are clamoring for.
So what areas of logistics are you to focus on? Land, air, seaport, where? Or I'm just trying to connect. Edo State, of course, is connecting the west
yes.
with the east.
And the north.
South.
And the north.
And the north, actually, yes.
And the north.
Yeah.
It's a great question. So the fact is you have to start from what you already have. What we already have is we have a great location. We have an airport that we should focus more on cargo. And then we have Cocoa Port, which is just down the street from Benin, 35, 40-minute drive from Benin. What we don't have is we don't have highways to evacuate the goods. So that port that is 35 minutes to Benin is owned by the federal government. So we simply do a joint venture with the federal government to develop the port and to begin to use it. And by the way, it's probably the best port in Nigeria. It has naturally 14-foot drafts.
Wow.
So huge ships can come there. Okay? So if we transform that port into a major port, then the question is, how do you make the money? You make the money by evacuating those goods to the major trading centers in Nigeria. Onitsha, Lagos, Kano, Maiduguri. Of course, you use Abuja as a hub. All of those places are places where Edo State can have bonded warehouses. Once you do that, then you create tremendous jobs. But you're going to have another obstacle. What's that obstacle? The federal highways. Yeah. Again, what stops us from collaborating with the federal government to fix the federal highways? Nothing. You can fix them, toll them in collaboration with the federal government.
And take your money back.
And take your money back. And with all of that, Edo State will thrive tremendously. There's also another hidden asset that we have as a state. In 2022, $26 billion was sent to Nigeria by Nigerians in the diaspora. Nigerians...
22 billion.
26 billion.
26.
Out of that 26 billion, about 8 billion of it came from Edo State people.
Of course, Edo State started Japa long. The Japa syndrome probably started from Edo State long ago.
There you go.
When Nigerians didn't know what it means to Japa to Italy that time. Yes. Started long ago there.
Once you make Edo State investment friendly, and those people have confidence in governance and rule of law.
Of course, diaspora funds.
Those funds become investment funds. And there's so much you can do with the combination of those two things in Edo State.
The man that you hope to take over from,
yes,
Governor Obaseki, spoke so much about how he was going to turn diaspora funds to, I'm just trying to use his exact word, but liquid cash,
yes,
to grow Edo State.
Yes.
We haven't seen much of that. Again, issue of foreign direct investment too was one that he was at the first tenure, he was always abroad signing one MOU or the other.
Yes.
Personally, I also haven't seen how much transformation that has brought to Edo State.
Let me say
so how is yours going to be different? Or you have better friends abroad than he?
So let me say the following. This will be the 42nd year that I've had a presence in the United States.
Let's shift attention to where the campaign starts.
Yes.
What will be the key points of your campaign? Edo State has a large youthful population.
Yes.
A lot of people are saying the future of any country now should be human capital.
Of course.
What's your program on that line?
Human
capital development.
Human capital development is fundamental. Once you have security, you have rule of law, and you have money, you must focus on human capital development. However, as a country, which includes Edo State, we have not done a very good job on human capital development. So unfortunately, we have this huge population of people that you have to push toward vocational training. And it's also one of the reasons why logistics is important. So we are going to develop logistics and the agro-allied industry. And then we are going to invest heavily in vocational training for that huge population that missed the formal education aspects that is required for human capacity development. We will then push all of those into employment in logistics as well as agro-allied. And then we'll go down to the 13-year-olds. And at that level, we'll stratify them into those that are going to be politicians, those that are going to be business people, those that are going to work in social services, and start from there to develop them. In just 4 years, you've transformed your human capacity development. In addition to that, one of the hidden jewels we have is the fact that we have young people that are technology savvy. So one of the key things I'm going to do is develop technology hubs that have broadband internet. We will also then bring jobs, distance jobs from Europe and the United States, so that right there in Edo State, our young people will be working for the likes of Google, Microsoft, and earning dollars in Nigeria. The ability to do that comes down to the strength of your relationships outside to get the contracts, and your strength of relationships to actually bring the right people to train these people and certify them. All of those we have the capacity to do. So if you look at the three key economic anchors that we're going to deploy to develop the economy, increase the GDP, we're going to focus on logistics, which takes care of our share of the Nigerian economy. We are going to focus on the agro-allied industry, which gives us a comparative advantage because of the huge arable land that we have in Edo State. Then we are going to get into the global technology industry to leverage the young, smart people that we have in the state.
How many months now of President Bola Tinubu? The nation seems to be on a political high wire now.
Yes.
Economically, particularly.
Yes.
Cost of living has become so high. What, I mean, from your perspective as an industrialist,
Yes.
and a businessman,
Yes.
what has the government done wrongly?
My own view is that this current national administration is taking the tough medicines that are required to transform the country economically. And people are not going to like that. They are in a different party, I should be criticizing them. But when people are also doing something right, you have to give them time. It's going to take time for these policies to settle down and for people to understand what is going on. For example, we used to pay subsidies on about 2 million barrels per month, and now we are paying on 1.1. So a big problem has already been solved. So we should give them some time. We should help them and collaborate with them. It's our country. They are not the president of APC. They are the president of the country. So everybody should support them during these 4 years that they are president and help them, because every help we give to them, patience that we give to them, is for our own interest. I think it's too early to judge them, and I see a lot of tough decisions that are good decisions that have been made. That's my view.
Okay, I'm going to end this session with you the same way I started.
Yes.
I read somewhere about the possibility of the emergence of a white knight. Except that article didn't say that white knight will be a knight in shiny armor. But if you read that article from beginning to the end,
Yes.
and having sat down here with you,
Yes.
my mind tells me that you are probably that white knight that writer was making allusion to, that we should look beyond those that have emerged now.
Yes.
That somebody will still emerge, and then because of this, when all of this begin to coalesce, it will lead to the emergence of a white knight.
I read the same article.
You did?
I did, and I was actually
Are you the white knight then?
I'm hoping to be the white knight.
The description fits you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You know, I told you earlier that I think that there are 7 political parties from which the next governor can emerge. And for me, this is going to sound non-political, especially somebody who was trained as a politician and I've been a politician. There are, I believe, one of the reasons the article impressed me is that the best candidates are not out yet.